Hello, Internet. How are you doing? And myself, possibly. I wanted to do a video today about forgiveness. In the past, last time I was here in Gibraltar, I was doing videos on my 8 questions, which I had got um, off of Lisa Nichols, I think, at some point. I might have changed them slightly. Anyway, the 8 questions were: what are you proud of? What are you excited about? What makes you happy? What do you enjoy? What are you grateful for? What are you committed to? Who do you love slash who loves you? And what do you forgive yourself for? I think originally I was calling it the 7 questions with one bonus or something. Anyway, it just became 8 questions. Eight's a better number anyway. It's, infinity. So yes, probably the hardest ones there were always, what do you forgive yourself for? I think forgiveness is something that I find to be a bit challenging, especially when it's forgiving yourself. Um, but I did first want to talk a little bit about forgiving others, because I think when you start off thinking about forgiving others, if you're able to do that, then you're kind of like taking little baby steps to forgiving yourself. It's like being kind to someone else is much harder to be than being kind to yourself at sometimes, or being patient with other people is much easier than being patient with yourself, if you're someone like me. So, others. In the last year, there have been a lot of people who have sort of stood in my way from getting the things that I wanted to get done, or who have not given me the opportunity, usually career wise, to do the things that I know I'd be good at. So that's unfortunate. I'm sure we've all been there. Also, as a little side note, I want to talk a little bit about jealousy, because I think being mad at other people sometimes is just a mask for actually being jealous of other people. And I was watching a Mel Robbins podcast, I can't remember which one, when she was talking about looking out for when you're jealous of someone or something that someone has accomplished. What you're really looking at is what you want within your own life, or for your own self, or an area that you want to improve on. And so even though jealousy is a bit of a negative emotion thing, you can't always just be positive all the time. And when you have a jealous feeling, instead of just squashing it down and trying to ignore it, it's actually helpful to look what's behind that jealousy. What is it that that other person has, or what other people have accomplished that you haven't? And is there something that you can do to get yourself closer to that, or at least improve in yourself to be closer to that, even if maybe it's not reasonable for you to get exactly what other people have? Because it's not about, comparison is the whatever, what is it, comparison is what leads to suffering, or something like that. I don't know, I think that's the saying. But instead of saying they have that and I don't, just say, what is it that they have that I want, and is there any way for me to get slightly closer to that? Maybe not all the way. You can't have exactly what everyone else has. It's just life. So yeah, that's my side note about jealousy. I think jealousy and resentment are kind of tied together, and forgiveness and self improvement, or goal setting at least, is the the opposite. So that's what I'm working towards. I know I made a bunch of videos in the past about the 8 questions last time I was here in Gibraltar, because I went back to try and remember what the 8 questions were. And I was like, oh my god, those are all still the same things that I need to re-get my mind into. I think I went back home I was working a little bit. I didn't really save any money, but I sort of covered my trip to and from Canada. And I got to see some people, family and friends, a little bit, so that was good. But in terms of like advancing my career, purpose, life, not really. None of that sort of happened. So yeah, that's that's how that went. Um, so I have to sort of forgive myself for not having any sort of financial gains, for not um, making the choice to leave the situation I was there in Canada. I had done like a volunteer um, experience. Then I think I have this thing about loyalty, where once I've told someone I'm going to do something, I think your word is your bond and you can't just go back on your word, even though I felt like it was not as it should be, and the hours and arrangements were not quite as they were supposed to be, as was pre decided, and it was getting more and more to the side of exploitation. And then I found out that they exploited other people in the past. Anyway, I had opportunities to leave and I didn't. So that's on me. Yes, they are horrible people and most likely will exploit people again in the future. And everyone's like, "Oh, you need to go to this and that and report them, blah blah blah." And it's like, yeah, yeah, but they're still just gonna do it. They're those kind of people. They worked for a charity and made a lot of money for themselves. So those big charity, like high up people. They get all these fundraiser events. They do all sorts of networking and what do you call it? They raise awareness about whatever the issue is that they're supposedly raising money for, but it's all going into their own bank accounts. So there were those kind of people I found in the end. So not a surprise is that they were also very horrible and unfair to me. Um, so that is what happened, and I could have left earlier. And there was other opportunities that I could have taken that which would have been much better, and probably actually would have helped with the current career that I'm trying to pursue. But I was just already settled in, and I just didn't feel like I was just being whatever. And so that's on me, because I was trying to like I was contacting other people like, it feels a bit off. They're a bit weird. They're sort of like not really agreeing to what they said, but there's pluses and minuses. But it was more just like, I'm already here. I said that I would stay till this time, so I'm going to stay till this time. And that was the main thing. And that's like a thing that does come up for me a lot, because I have like a loyalty to a fault problem thing that I just um, can't always see when I'm in it. Of course, in retrospect, it's very obvious that I should have left. And even at the time, it was very obvious, but I just didn't. And that's on me. And I need to say, yeah, that's the decision that I made at the time with the information that I had. And I thought that it was going to be a good idea at the time. And it wasn't. So, can't do anything about that now. So yeah, forgiving yourself about decisions or indecisions is really important, and I'm moving towards that. Recently, things that I can look forward to. This is the moving on part. First of all, I'm going to try to get back into the 8 questions. I might not be making videos about them, but I'm going to be trying to journal a bit more. And sometimes some of it is just like writing about whatever the crap that you're thinking just to get it out. I have actually been, because I have 2 different phone numbers, I have been texting myself back and forth from my 2 different accounts, just like stuff that I've been circling over and over in my brain just to get out. And then usually it's later at night, because that's when my brain decides it wants to be thinking about things, when I'm trying to sleep. So I just found like write myself a big long text. That way it's out. And then I think my brain then goes, okay, then something's been done about that. And then it sort of like stops thinking about it a bit. That's just my new hack. But then it's also good because then the next morning I see on my phone the things that I wrote, and it's kind of like I have a new perspective and I can kind of like see what it is that I'm saying to myself, and I can see how absurd it is generally. Um, so that's been one thing for moving on. Just giving it out. Also, just now that I'm back into volunteering a bit more, just being around other people and just talking and finding out about what is going on with them, talking about yourself, like having a social interaction, like community, I think is really important. I've also been reaching out to some people who are not physically here where I am, um, and just getting in contact with people who I enjoy talking to, even if it's not live because we're on different time zones. So it's usually just like those voice messages or little text here and there. It's just nice to sort of like to know that there's people out there that are not horrible. Another thing about the moving on, over Christmas, a friend of mine sent me a link to the um, Jim Rohn Challenge to Succeed workbook, which I think is quite old, or maybe the original one was old, and I don't know if they redone it or what, but it's really long. There's a lot of like explanations in between, and I don't have the like login to get the full PDF, so I'm just like looking at it on my phone and sort of skip over a lot of the in between rants. But essentially, you are going and looking at goals for the next 10 years. I mentioned this in my last video. In my 30s, I started doing like goals and envisioning where I want to be at 40. And looking back, I have done a lot of those things. So it's like probably a good idea to reassess because I haven't had any clear goals more recently. A couple years ago when I left Australia, I had a few ideas of what I wanted to do within the yachting industry. That's not happening, so we're going to try and refocus on what realistic goals I can do. So the goals you start with, like economic goals, what kind of money you want to have, what kind of investments you want to have. Sort of, I've just been writing like like bullet point notes and then a sentence of like in 10 years my economic situation will be. Career goals, that one I need to sort of pin down a bit better. But yeah, bullet point in the career I will have in 10 years will be da da da. Family slash social, relationships I want to develop, and spheres of influence that I will have access to. That one I think I could maybe get a bit more clear on as well, just because it's a lot. Like the family and personal relationships seems pretty obvious, and that was easy. But the spheres of influence, I maybe have to think about that a bit more. Personal, so like not physical, but like mental, what kind of person you want to be, basically. So the person I will become in 10 years, what traits are you going to have, what qualities, and that sort of thing. So in that I have stuff like journaling more, consistently doing like stretch and cardio exercise, learning about new things. I want to learn more about baking, cooking, get better at that, improve my communication, and work on reaching out to be kind to other people, because I have a thing where I don't really reach out to people very much because I feel like I don't want to burden other people and be selfish. But I think if you're reaching out in order to help other people, that's somehow easier for me. So I'm gonna start with that. See how we can see how we go. And then you feel better when you do it. know that the other person knows that you're trying to reach out. So, lifestyle is the last one, and that is more about in 10 years, um, what will I own, what experiences will I have, and what kind of, yeah, what's your daily life look like? Um, so, I did a preliminary one of those. I'm gonna have to go back and sort of like fine tune it, but that's what I'm trying to do to move on. Like I was saying, the antithesis to sort of jealousy and resentment is gonna be setting goals and reaching out and helping other people, basically. Making some sort of an impact in a way which is valuable to yourself. So, I'm going to be looking towards that. This has been a very long video, so if you're still here, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully it was helpful, or at least somewhat entertaining. I don't know. But if you are also on the journey of trying to forgive others and yourself, good luck. And check out the Mel Robbins podcast. It's amazing. And it's a good direction to go. If you're already wasting time watching a lot of crap on YouTube, which isn't helping you, that is some crap on YouTube which may help you. Even if you don't do the things. Because I was feeling guilty about myself, about being like, I watched the thing about changing your habits, and I haven't been changing my habits. It's telling me I need a morning routine, and I don't have a morning routine. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. You'll get there. We're just gonna one little baby step at a time. We're crawling out of the abyss of sadness. We need to crawl out of it. Sometimes we're gonna slide back in, and that's just how it goes. Cause it's muddy, those walls. Getting out of here. Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately because I have no good news to share, really. But there are a lot of good things in my life. I need to focus more on gratitude for what I do currently have, and we are moving forward. We're getting there. We're on our way. We're gonna be fine. We need to be more present in the moment and appreciate what we do have, and the fact that we have the option to improve ourselves and our lives for the future, even though it hasn't gone the way exactly that we wanted. Sometimes you gotta take an L, and you gotta turn those two L's into two L's. I don't know.